This was not supposed to happen. One color in my variegated yarn ran 3 times longer than the rest, and it almost ruined my pattern. I had 2 choices, live with it or fix it. So I fixed it, and here's exactly how. Hi friends, today I'm fixing a really common variegated yarn issue that doesn't get explained too often. When one color in the repeat is way longer than the others, and it creates a huge block in your project. This isn't classic color pooling. This is what happens when the dye repeat is uneven, and the long color starts stacking in the same spot every row. I'll show you how I diagnosed the problem, ripped back to the right point, used a scale to predict the correct transition, and put everything back on track with a clean, invisible join. The variegated yarn I was using went something like this. A little bit of orange, a little bit of cream, a little bit of pink, a little bit of coral, and back to orange. But that cream section became the problem. It was 3 times longer than the other colors, and that completely throws off how the colors land in your knitting. So instead of blending evenly, the cream color stacked every single row, leaving me with just a splash of orange on one side and cream, lots and lots of cream. This unintentional color stacking can happen with any variegated yarn. I was right at the end of my project when I noticed something was off. I had nearly 10 inches of cream, while the other colors were shifting every 3 to 4 inches. When one color is dramatically longer, your stitch count lines up with it over and over, and the color piles up in the exact same area. This is an attention issue. It's not a mistake, it's just how variegated yarn behaves when the color repeat isn't balanced, or that it's so subtle the human eye can't really clock any changes. This part really hurt, but the only real fix was to rip back to the last clean transition point. And honestly, I'd rather rip back now than spend hours finishing something I'm going to hate. If you're ripping back more than one color, make sure to wind the yarn as you go. Otherwise, everything bunches up fast. And if you forget, well, you might end up like me, stuck untangling this little disaster. Let's speed things up. I've found that putting a little weight on top of the fabric keeps it stable and makes the ripping go much faster. This small double-pointed needle has been acting as a makeshift lifeline for me. Now that I'm done ripping, I can remove this needle and get my stitches back on my working needle. Because my project is so wide, I'm using a 24-inch circular needle, but I'm not knitting in the round. I'm using the circular needle the same way I would use a straight needle, knitting my rows back and forth. Once I got back to where the colors were behaving normally, I could reset the pattern. Here's the trick that makes this repair accurate, not guesswork. I weighed the yarn. I weighed the yarn I ripped out, and then weighed how much I had left from the section of the color I wanted to reintroduce. Variegated yarn repeats usually use consistent amounts of yarn in grams, even if the color lengths look uneven, like my giant cream section. So by weighing the yarn I ripped out and weighing the yarn in the color section I wanted to reintroduce, I could figure out exactly how much yarn each part of the repeat actually uses. This told me 2 things. 1, where in the repeat I needed to rejoin the yarn to get the color I wanted next, and 2, whether I had enough of the colorful section left to finish the scarf without ending up with another big block of cream at the end. If I didn't have enough of the colorful section, I would have had to graft the cream back in later, which would completely defeat the whole purpose of the color change effect. So weighing is the easiest way to make sure your color transitions land exactly where you want them. This took all the guesswork out. I knew exactly where the yarn needed to come back in. Here comes the moment of truth. It's time to cut out all that cream and join the yarn back in where the colors shift. To figure out exactly where to graft it back in, I looked for a section of cream that was just about to transition into the next color. To attach the yarn at the right point, I used a felted join. It's perfect for wool because the transition becomes completely invisible. The formula for felting is simple. Heat plus friction equals felt. Just overlap the ends, add a bit of warm to hot water, roll it in your hands until the fibers lock, and you're done. Keep in mind, this join only works with animal fibers that felt like 100% wool. This will not work with anything that has synthetic fibers like acrylic, or plant fibers like cotton or linen. In a variegated project, a felted join is magic. No knots, no bumps, and the color continues exactly where you want it. Once I reknit the section, everything lined up beautifully. The cream no longer stacked, and the whole project looked intentional again. And then I tried a 2-color I-cord bind off, thinking it would be cute, and no. It just wasn't working out how I had hoped. So I ripped that out too, and went with a single color I-cord, which looks so much nicer in my opinion. I finished the cowl off by lightly steam blocking it using a dry iron on the wool setting, of course, and very lightly pressing it on a wet towel. This is one of my favorite methods for blocking wool. It's just so easy and the garment is ready to wear. Here's what I want you to take away. If one color in your variegated yarn is much longer than the others, it will stack. It's not your fault and it's totally fixable. The steps are simple. Just identify the repeat lengths, rip back to the last clean transition, weigh your yarn to find the next correct color point, use a felted join to bring the yarn back in, and reknit the section. These techniques will work for any variegated yarn project, not just this one. So that's how I fixed a stretch color repeat in variegated yarn. If you've ever had this happen to you and you came up with some creative solutions, let me know in the comments. This happens way more often than you would think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.